Hey everybody, and welcome back. My name is Sue and I am from OML Embroidery, and welcome everyone to the OML gang. This is where we have our digitizing fun. So welcome to Chris Vick, first time here. That's awesome. And welcome to thanks Don, all good. He can probably hear me talking because he's downstairs in his office shipping. Welcome to any new people. Give yourself a shout out so we know who you are. Make sure you join the OML Embroidery University Facebook group. That's the backup to this channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, and get ready to have a ton of fun. Thank you as always to our moderators. You guys make the group and the chat awesome. Keep things going. We really appreciate it. And of course, all of our regulars too. I love to see new people, but I really love to see people coming back and names that I remember. I think it's so much fun. Misha's going to be back with us. Everyone's talking about the weather. Well, here in southern Ontario, Canada, we have a typical dull, dreary fall day. And the wind's kind of blowing. It's a bit chilly. We've got 16 degrees Celsius. No idea what that is in Fahrenheit. Someone will probably figure it out. And tonight it's going down to 8 degrees Celsius. So it's going to be a little chilly. It's going to be a little chilly when we wake up. So we're going to start a new chapter. We've done, what have we done? We've done starting with shapes, beginning with shapes. We did the fish tank, which was a lot of fun. That was part 2. Part 3, we did the garden. Didn't we do a cityscape too in there? So this one will be all about motif stitches. And you will be surprised how far we can take motif stitches. I think they are the most fun you can have with embroidery. And it's going to teach you a whole lot, and how to do them and how we can do them, and how we make them in like the old-fashioned stitches. So, which is cool. So, if there's no more questions or anything, oh yeah, bookcase. Oh, bookcase was so much fun. Thanks, Sandy. I forgot about that one. Let's get started, and I'm going to show you guys how, like a quick and easy way, how to set up your motif stitches. So let me explain this mess. It kind of looks pretty weird. Now you can do this on your computer. You can do it with artwork. Whatever software you're doing, you can do the same thing as this. Now it's a circle. Doesn't even matter the size. I mean, you don't want it huge. With an X through it, a baseline, and a horizontal line. Now you can add more to it if you want, but I find this is enough. So what all these crisscross lines for is to keep it symmetrical. Now you don't have to keep all of them symmetrical, but I think it helps me out. Are you live or am I watching a replay? I'm gonna say we're live, Shirley. Thanks for joining us. So you can ask questions. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. Thank you, Alicia. If you have any questions, just ask. Hopefully the mods will get to it, or someone can tag me and point it out to me if I miss it. I don't always, sit and watch the chat. It takes away my focus. So this is the design that I want you guys to create for yourself. Another thing you could do is do it with rulers and paper, and just scan it in or take a picture and bring it in, that sort of thing. So the biggest concern is start and stop, and I'm going to show you why. and up and down, and you don't want it, you know, to go outside of these one way or another. But we're going to be doing so many different ones. This is awesome. So I find the start and stop helps with creating them. So that's my formula. I also put the grid on for this. I didn't know how well you guys can see it, but it really helps. I don't have my snap to grid because I find that very annoying. So recognize any of these guys? Does anyone recognize them? Well, this is Norman, and we're gonna make him into a motif stitch. Hi, Jackie Cheek. Hello. We're gonna make this guy into a motif stitch, but you know what? We're gonna not do it right now. We're gonna work on that though, because wouldn't that be cute? Yeah, I love Norman too, and there's a couple of ways we can attack it. I brought up a spider web because that would be super awesome to make into one, but what I decided to do is our pumpkin that we created in the last class. And what I did here is I selected the pumpkin and I turned it all into running stitches. So I'm not going to include that, and I'm not going to include the green part because we got to keep it simple. So that's one thing that you have to remember. Keep it simple. Depending on the size, if you're going to do huge motif stitches, which you probably shouldn't, but you can, then you can add more detail. Now, going back to this design, I don't know what to call it, template maybe, the motif template. The idea with doing a motif is that you want it to start in the end in an opposite place, but on the same level, because what you don't want is jump stitches or crossing over. You don't want that. So you can look here, and we'll work through it together, but you can see here, whoops, that's way too far. This is one I created just from this, and we'll do it, don't worry, we'll do it. And I put this triangle where it starts, and there is a red triangle underneath. So then I know if I pull everything together, this is what the motif stitch is going to look like when you put it together, because where this one, number one, ends, number two is going to start. So there's a little bit of overlap, but it's not too bad. Then we can take it and we can add to it. We can add swirls, we can add anything we want, and it takes a little bit of tweaking. But now I'm not encouraging anyone to copy other people's designs. This is a design that we created ourselves. This pumpkin, we did it last week. So just again, be careful. So I'm going to take a running stitch. Now, generally speaking, these are made in running stitches or back stitches, and occasionally bean stitches. But I mean, this is your thing. You can do different things if you want. Just keep it light. They're generally intended for being light. Like, you don't want to fill this in, because if you have to stitch something over it, it's not going to look the same. So let's for now stick with just a running stitch. And the first thing I did is because I'm thinking about it and I'm making reference to the template thing there. We could move this up to the template, I guess. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just going to outline it. So I'm just left clicking or right clicking. We got to check on the size. And I'm just kind of just roughly doing this. I'm not worried about too much. I'm not worried about, you know, where I started and where I stopped. And for this one, it needs to be a closed shape. So hopefully that's closed, and look how terrible that looks. That's just terrible. But we can easily fix it. So this one I did, and I just, again, roughly went through it. I kind of tweaked it a little bit. Now, how do we tweak it to make it look better? We can do this other one too if you want. Node mode. And again, don't worry about the start and stops yet. So left click and drag is a bounding box, and if you see they're brighter blue, the two that I selected, this is a big time saver trick, just do it that way. So left click, drag, bounding box, and delete, and that looks way better. This one I think would look better if we made it smooth. So I just right clicked and I made it smooth. And the rest of it, I don't like this one either. Should we make that one smooth? Let's try. Let's try. Oh, that does look better. And now they don't have to be perfectly symmetrical for sure. It's how you want it to look. So I'm just going to move these guys because they're in my way. I think, yeah, see how it looks here? There's a little bump. If you like that, you can leave it. I am going to delete that one. Nope, I did it wrong. Control Z or Z to finish it. I'm going to zoom right in here, and we're not attached. That's the problem. That's why it did that. So what we want is we want it to be a closed shape. We'll work up to it, but let's do close line. So I just did a right click and then close line, and we'll do apply. And that's looking a little better. Looking a little better. Some software you can go ahead and pick closed shape, and then you don't have to worry about what I did. So tweak away, get a nice smooth shape, and because of our template, which is right here, we want it to start on the left and finish on the right. So let's go ahead and do that. So the red is the stop point, and we're going to put it right here just above the line. That's the wrong one. Okay. Put it on here, start here, and stop here. So we have it just about even. Now, if you have it down here, you can either do a walking stitch up to the same point on the other side, or there's going to be a trim or a jump stitch, and you don't want to stitch out a whole bunch of these with jump stitches. So that is how I would do it. Again, tweak if you need to. Let's pull out a Bezier curve and make this a little different. Let's pull it the other side. You can do it however you want it to look. Let's hit apply. So good enough. So there's my pumpkin. And what I did was, you remember, oops, let's go back in here so you can remember. Remember that this line here is where we started out. Now, it's a little bit hard to remember that, so I just made triangles. Let's do a copy and a paste. And in this software, the triangles are a shape, so we can do that. I'm going to change the second one to red. And that will just remind us as we are working on this that it's, anyone else have a blurred screen? It's probably because of this. So let's see if that helps it a little bit better. So these, you could do any shape that you want, but I think it's convenient. The pumpkin has earrings. Yes, put earrings on your pumpkin. That's the first part. But so we know, you could even, draw a straight line if you wanted. I tend to go back and double check and make sure, look, I've got it right. And that'll help us out with what we were doing. So, okay, this is what I did just to make sure we got it right, because sometimes it doesn't work out. I am going to make a copy of it, and I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to move it up. I'm going to make a group out of that one. Oh, group is up here, wrong software. And I'm going to group this one as well. Group. And then what we do is just match up the triangles. So if you've done it wrong, then they won't match up. And you need to decide, I personally don't like the little overlap that's there, but let's move it down a little bit, precision. That's not quite what we want, but you know what? It's not so bad. It's not something that you would notice. The other thing you need to check as well is the size, because we don't want monstrously huge designs either. You don't want them really, really small. So this would be okay for a motif stitch, and it gets cooler. So this is what I was working on, and if you have this as a background, this is how you would be placing it. So in the middle and right up to the line. This is the middle line of it. So this is below the line, this is above the line. And our start and stop are directly on it. That's kind of in the middle. But if you were doing like a sunshine, then you could match up the, you know, zigzag parts right to here, back to the center, up to here. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm getting at with the template. And if you guys want me to show you, because I didn't do our pumpkin guy on the template. So let me know in the comments if you want me to just really quickly show you how you would use that. So this looks good. If where they meet bothers you, then we just have to tweak this curve a little bit. So I like that, and I thought, okay, that's good. Now in quickly show, please. Okay, so just really quick, and what I'm gonna do, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna group this, and this is something that you can bring up and use. And let's zoom right in, and so we have it nice and close. I checked the size and it's kind of medium, so we know what we can do with it. And I have it grouped so I can't accidentally, you know, move one of these. So let's go to our running stitch, which is right here, input run path. And so if it's going from one end to the circle to the other, we want to place our first stitch here. And we'll just do something easy. I'm going to go to the center and I'm going to go up here and back. It's kind of like a star what I'm doing, and I'm just following along, and these lines just help you with placement. Now, no matter what, we want to end right here, the red line there, so it matches up, but I'm not done yet. So we're going to have to backtrack a little bit. So I'm going to go, I've done up and down. I'm going to do something different. I have no idea what this is, so don't ask. And I'm going to put a curve right here, and I'm going to go back to the center, and I don't want that. I don't want that. Let's do a curve here. So control left click, control left click. Now I don't know what this is. It's just funny. It's just a shape. And now you can't end it here or else there's going to be a jump stitch. So I'm just going to take it right over here, or I could backtrack on this. So double lines is just fine. You're really not going to see them. So I'm going to have to adjust. No, it looks perfect there. There. Left click. We want a straight point. And we're going to end right here. And that's how you keep everything symmetrical. So that's a weird design, and look, it needs a little bit of tweaking, but it starts here and it ends here. Now the color that I chose is kind of strange. So now we can see it, and you keep it symmetrical. It's a shape with a smiley face. Yeah, well, you'd be surprised what you can come up with when you play around with the angles and everything. I guess I went a little too far on that, but look, it starts here and it ends here. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste. I always find it's actually really helpful to do this so you can see how it looks depending on what you're doing. So that's what that little template guy is for. That might look pretty cool. I think we're big, so I'm going to make it small. Remember, yeah, you know what? That could be like a fall design or anime character. Well, you can certainly do that. So you could get really, really creative. So that's nicely grouped because it's only one. You see how it went to a jump stitch? You could go into node mode and we can make a nose and still make this whole thing work. So we're going to go, I need another point. So point, no, not that point. So once, I have to add point. Wrong software. I've been digitizing a lot lately, and it's gonna kind of drive me crazy because I keep doing the wrong thing. So we could go like this. I guess we don't need to go that far out. And here, and you could either do it halfway or not. So what I want is another couple of points, right click, add point, and I do want lines, thank you very much. And we're gonna need probably one more. Whoops, and whoops, did I click the wrong one? I might have, but you know what, let's make it work. Let's make it work just fine. You'll see what I'm trying to do in a minute. I'm struggling a little bit, but that's okay. That's okay. Let's do a line. So I want it straight. So I'm kind of making a groovy nose right here, and I'm ending in the same spot. So how cool is that? Your video may not be buffering. Yes, slightly delayed, yes. So now we've got that. So let's delete this guy and let's do this, and we're going to do a copy and a paste just so we can see. And it's going to start right here and it's going to carry on, and it's a face, and then this is another face because it's going to, let's do a paste. See, and just a simple scribble like that looks pretty good, and it's shapes, and I think it's pretty neat. I don't know how you keep all your different digitizing software straight. You're doing a great job. Sometimes I get a little mixed up. I've been using E4 a lot for the last week, and that's why I was going down at the bottom, because that's where I keep the group and ungroup. So there we go. So if you see a face, awesome. If you see a half circle and triangles and some other triangles, that's fine. So now what we need to do with this, I'm gonna delete my extra spots because I do like how it looks. Now we are going to make it into a motif. Now it really depends on what software you have. Hatch, I know it comes up over here and it says create motif, and you have to set the line, which we've already done. We know this one goes straight across, right? And you have to click and then it says it. In this software, it took me forever to find it, but I found it. So I need to select this. I think I can do it on the selection. I might have to copy, but I'll show you quick. We're not quite ready to get to that. And it goes under special files. So file, special file, and there you go. Save motif, open motif, and you can save shapes and everything like that. So that's where you would save it, and then you can call it up. But I'm not ready to do that yet. So that is how I use my little carousel thing to make sure that these points match up, point and point. And the circle kind of shows you how to do that. So it helps. I find it very, very helpful to do. So let's go back to our pumpkin. And what I did on the pumpkin, I fixed a couple of things that I didn't like, and I tweaked it a little bit. See, I was playing around. Now, if you want your pumpkins to be close together, that is absolutely cute. If you want more details, we are going to expand on it and do some advanced motifs. But why not add a swirly? Now, you could go into node mode and play around with it, but it's perfectly fine as well to just add to it. It's not, it does not have to be one piece. So all I did was grab the running stitch and just, you know, make whatever you want, however you want it. It doesn't have to be exactly how I had it. The important thing is it needs to meet up with your start point on your pumpkin. It also has to meet up with the end point. So I'm going to leave that one start, and it's going to end here. And this is where you need your grid. So it's a little bit below, so I would actually change that. So red is the new part that we're working on, okay? So maybe here, so it's along that line, and maybe put that down or up or however you want it. And what the idea is that we can leave the end point where it is, and this one over here is on the same line, so it's going to match up. Now, all we have to do is go into this pumpkin and click on it, and you can see that it's going to match up. Now, if you want to move one of your, or add another one, that's fine. I just kind of put it there, and if I wanted to add something else, I remember that it goes in here and out there. Now, for the one that I did over here, I kind of did a different shape. But again, if you notice, the lines are kind of matching. I needed to tweak it a little bit because when I put them together, this went over. And I didn't like how that looked in the red circle here. And I didn't quite match up here, because mine starts here, goes, whoops, Control Z, undo that. It goes around and it goes to here, and then the pumpkin starts and ends here. So, and if you have double lines, again, don't worry about it. Ooh, Jackie Burke, thank you very much. Good job. Yeah, this is the most fun you can have with embroidery. It is so exciting. So I tweaked it around a little bit, and my triangles match. See, there's a red one underneath there, or there's a couple of them. Oh, sorry, I pulled out the red one, but I moved it so you can see that it was perfectly under, so I know that they're going to match up, and this is how it'll stitch out. So this is my single motif, and this is how it'll stitch out. Now, if you don't want to make a motif, you can play around with it, but look what happened here. Something went wrong. I'm going to take that off. I guess it's harder to see. I don't know if you guys can see the jump lines, but there's a bajillion of them. And I was like, what the heck happened here? What happened? And did you see it? It didn't connect. So this part, the swirly that starts the whole thing, ends up right there. So start point, stop point, and that has to match up with the pumpkin, which it doesn't. So I don't know how I forgot about that, but I did. So I would have to replace the one because it's all over the place. Now, I just did copy and paste. Actually, I'm going to show you there's more than one way of doing it. Let's, because you can really have fun with these. But why not branch? You don't need to branch because you can end up having the stitches over and over and over. Just start and your next piece starts where your last one stops, and then off you go. So let me check this one. This one is a start and a stop right in the corner, and the pumpkin, see, this one was wrong. We're going to make it here. So now, no jump stitches, no problems. How would you make the swirlies be different on each side? Would you make 2 instead of 1? Well, if you make swirlies on each side, I mean, you certainly can. Now, can you picture where you would start the second swirly? I don't have this one marked, but it has to start right precisely here. So we need to, maybe if I zoom in a better, it'll show up. I'm gonna show you this. So I'm gonna move this so it's here because it goes right across to this one. So where that one ends, we need to start our next swirly. So it's right there. Let's just grab it here. I know it's the wrong one, but let's just grab it right here. And then we know, go back and double check if you want to make sure your precision, because it matters. I got it right. Sometimes if you get interrupted, then, you know, these honestly will help out. And so we're going to make another swirly. So we have to start it here, and we have to finish on this line so this one can continue. So let's just do like a lower one or something like that. So we have to start here, and we're just going to do a little swirl like this, and it has to be that line right there. So something like that is just fine, and it is still going to stitch out all in one piece, and that's really important. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to put this back where I stole it from, and I'm going to make this blue because we're just worrying about one color, and then I'm going to check it out and see how it'll look. So I'm going to do a copy, and I'm going to do a paste, and then I'm going to pull it across and hold it down and see. And that's, oh, did I not select everything? Oh, that's awesome. Let's do that again. I didn't select all the pieces. So let's check. I should have it this time. And we are going to copy, and we are going to paste. And let's move it over. I got it that time. Sometimes I just don't select the right things, and we're going to match it up there. And this is what your motif stitch will look like. So in between, we have one swirly and we have the other. And of course, you can do whatever you want with that. I think it would look great. So let's take our double swirly dude, and I am going to copy him again, and I'm going to go to File, New, and we're going to play around with it. So edit, paste, Control V, whatever you want. I'm going to take the grid off because it takes up too much, and I am going to make it a nice orange because I can. So that's pretty. That looks like it is going to stitch right out. It's just going to go back there. I'm going to double check before I do everything. Start, stop. This one is start, stop. This one is start, stop. So we're good. So make this into a motif, or you can play around with it a little bit. And we're going to go right here to repeat. And let's play around with it. Look how great that looks. So you can set number across, you can do the number down, but here's the fun part. Distance between centers. This is where you can adjust, make adjustments, and play around with it. Oh, sorry, needed a drink. It's kind of dry in here today. So this is where you can have fun. Mirror every other. And I mean, that makes a face in the middle. It might be a little jump there, but you see how that changed? so quickly just by doing that. I'll put it back. Flip every other. See, now that's not going to connect, but it's an option for different ones. And we're going to play around with these quite a bit. And let's see, offset every other horizontally. Yeah, that's not going to work for me. Little space, you know, why not? Offset every other row. Well, I think that's probably what we want. I think this is cool. So it just offset. So one is halfway between. So we have a pumpkin a little closer with the swirls. And now you can change the space between. And this one too, like, and you can go in and add one more to the end if you want. So I thought it was really cool to play around with it. And let's see, offset. That one doesn't match up all of our stuff. So rows and columns. So I like the offset every other row. Now, the only downfall with this is that it does one row and then it's going to jump to here to start and do another row and jump to here. But that's something we can work on. But we took a pumpkin, we added a swirl, we added another swirl, and we offset it. So let's do this. Let's do apply and OK. And there we go. All these lines are back and forth. So, but see how you can play around with it? Let's go back to our background. So that was my problem with down here, was that I had things a little bit backwards. So if you are seeing, you know, too many lines through, then, you know, it's not quite right. Your start and stop points need to be fixed. Now this one, you can see it's really faint, but you can see it ends here, then it goes here to start. What we really want is it for, you know, to go here, but it's okay for this one. We will get into all that. Another thing we can do is you could do circle repeat as well and play around with that. We've got a scatter. Let's do carousel is the circle. I don't know what place is. Oh, but I kind of like it. Ooh, I've never played around with this. Different software have different things. Oh, that's kind of crazy. But also kind of cool if you had a different kind of pumpkin with maybe a little less swirlies. I kind of like how that sets it up. That is interesting. I always love too, it says auto resequence by color. So if you have more than one color in it, which you can certainly do as long as it stitches everything out properly without a million gazillion trims. But this is cool. I really like it. It's not really that applicable for this design, but I'm gonna think we're gonna figure out something that goes with it. So let's do that again. Reflect. Okay, that is a total other way of doing it. I love it. I love it. Horizontal, let's do one. Right, that doesn't do anything. Apply. I think that looks really cool as well. You can change the angle, you can change the number. Ooh, look at that. So, you know what? That's actually a pretty cool design, because look at how our swirlies connected look good. Isn't that cool? It's just totally different, and it gives it a whole different vibe. Yeah, we're gonna talk about borders and quilting borders and all different things like that. Do note, however, this is huge. So my pumpkins are bigger than they should be. I think this looks like a ram's head. You're right, Heather Wells. That's awesome. But it's a pattern. It's a pattern. So you can change the angles. You can change the width and the height. I'm going to go cancel because that is way too big. And there's one more I saw. Scatter. I find scatter enjoyable. I think it's pretty fun when you have little designs. It's not very scattered, but you know, you can play around with it. We'll be working on those as well. So, and around in a circle, but I thought this was really cool. I thought it was really fun. And pumpkins, I mean, if you stitch out the pumpkin that we made last week, if you make it a little bit bigger, and you can because you created it, make sure everything's right. And the week before we did adding a quilting background to any design, and this be your quilting background, it is so awesome. So let's look at the motif stitch that I did. And I thought it was really cute. This is the one on the main cover. And it's just my pumpkin. I just left the spacing. Although I think offset would look really pretty. I only have one swirl and it stitches out beautifully. So underneath it I have an applique just to make it look better for you guys. And I did a copy and a paste, and I changed it to motif stitch, so you don't have to draw everything out again. Copy, paste, or duplicate is your friend. And I figured out, I think the standard, it starts off, remember there's no magical numbers that are going to work for everything. So when it started out, it was really small, so let's double check our size. So it's a 11 by 12 basically. Those were pretty tiny and I kind of want them a little bit bigger. In actual fact too, the square is kind of big for what we normally do. So pumpkin motif, so I decided 10 was too small. So you know what, I always go to the extreme and then come back down. Is it convex? Yeah, it's dimensional, and that's what gave it. I'll take that off for now and do apply. I just thought it was more fun. So this is it straight up. So I thought this was, you know, way too small. You'd be there all day stitching this. So I go to the extreme, so 4 times as much. That's okay. That is not bad at all. But I thought, you know, it could be just a little smaller. So I settled at 30 and hit apply. And to me, that was just the right amount for what I'm doing. But look, then go to hit dimensional, and I love how that looks. I love how that looks. So you can play around with them as much as possible. Now, here's a little trick. These are straight up and down. Do you know how to change the straight up and down? It all has to do with angles. So there's my angle. Look, if I move it here and hit apply, and it changes. And it looks even better. It looks even better. So change the direction of your motif stitches by changing the angle. So straight up and down. I could play all day with these. On dimensional, will it sew out like that? Yep, what you see is what you get for sure. It's smaller in some parts, bigger in the others. The only thing you have to watch, of course, is the size of what you're doing. Now remember, this is 11 by 12, bigger than what we normally do. And these are a decent size. So you just have to play around with that. So let's change the angles. I kind of like it up and down, but I'm also pretty thrilled with this kind of a look. So now you can see how much fun you can have with different things. So let's do something completely different, and I'm going to show you how this works. Once you make it, you can use it for many, many things. So I'm going to make a circle, and I guess I could make it applique. So let's convert it to applique. It'll just make it so you guys can see it a little bit better. I'm going to pick a not too busy fabric because I think that's cool. How cool is that? For sure. I like it. Applique width, cut in place. All right, we're not going to worry about that. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste. And the one that's selected is the top one that I want to change. So I'm going to convert to, well, there isn't any motif stitch on this one. I said there was, but no. Convert to just tatami, so a fill stitch. You can see it's a fill stitch. Just hold on, and then we can go here. Here's our motif. There we go. And the pumpkin one I made is, where is it? There we go. Right at the bottom. And I named it so I know what it is. And there's our pumpkins. And you know what? The pumpkins are kind of in a color that we can't see. So let's change it to black. And I'm working big, so we're going to change that. Let's try the 30 again. No magic numbers. That looks pretty good. Let's do dimensional. Oh, I love that. I love that. We can make it even better, though, by changing the angle. So we can go more of an up and down, and it should give it a pretty cool look. So apply. Yeah, look at that. Now you've added more dimension, more interest to your embroidery. Instead of just a plain circle, we have this coolest circle. I think it's awesome. Now we can get more and more in depth with all of these designs, but and we're gonna do lots with motifs. Looks like a pumpkin planet. Yeah, why not? Absolutely, why not? It can be a lot of fun, and it can add to your work. You just have to make sure that you know you do the beginning part right. Now, if you were gonna branch one of these, the only thing with branching, and I'm going to try to explain this to you. Branching is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. So if we have this one set up, start, stop, start, and it does all of this, stop, start, stop. That's how it's going to stitch out. Now, if you didn't make all these changes, so you did the pumpkin first, then you did this one, then you did this one, and you selected everything and you branched it, you have to understand what's going to happen. Now, there'll be a start and a stop that you can set up on like Hatch, for example, but it's going to stitch this out, and then it's going to go back here, over here, and then it's going to go back on itself and probably do half of this again. So it would be the third time, and then back over here and there. So a lot of times with the branching, you really have to be careful. You can't do a line here and do a line here and a few things in between and, you know, do it in that order that you do it, right? It's going to go over the same thing many, many times. My idea, Gail, thank you very much. My idea is to do it right the first time. You don't need to branch it. Granted, sometimes you want things to go over it twice, but I'm not sure I understand what branching is. Branching is, I don't think the software does branching. I don't think it does. Hatch and Wilcom and a lot of them, it just branches everything, puts everything into one object. So right now I have 1, 2, three separate objects, and you can see them right here, 1, 2, 3. If I were to branch this, you select all of them, you hit branch, and you tell it where to start, where to finish, and it's going to turn it into one object. So therefore you can't edit it out, and like I said, if you don't set it up in the right way, you could have like eternal motif stitches stitching out forever because it goes over it too many times. So I'm not saying don't use it. I'm just saying you have to be careful of your order. It must be 1, 2, and 3. If it's in, like I have it, look down here. So I have this one is first. This one is, oh, see, now I have it wrong. So I'm going to change the order. That's probably what the problem was. So you have to keep checking on that. So I want it to go forward. I absolutely never get that right. So that should be 1 and 2, and I made it worse. 3. So this has to be first. This has to be second, and this has to be third, and match up with the start and stop points. So it doesn't matter that there's 3 objects. You can group them if you want so you don't mess them up so it moves as one object, which it kind of is. The machine is not going to stop or start at any point other than the beginning and the end. And this is a much cleaner way of doing it. But because I put like a gazillion, look at my list here, and it's not even that bad. I put a gazillion things on one thing. I kind of mess it up for myself. So let's experiment just for a little fun. And you can make anything into a motif stitch, and I love it. I love it. I love having so much fun with it. Let's do let's do a heart. So we're gonna do a heart, and that's just the shape. Most software, wondering if you can group all 3. Yes, you can group 3. It doesn't mean that you can't edit it anymore. You can ungroup it. You can edit the second object and then group it together. It just makes it so much easier. So let's do convert to, should we do the applique again? Yeah, I think it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of fun. Let's pick a fabric. Let's do something a little different. So a heart. Oh, yay. And what are we going to do instead of trying to draw the heart again? We're going to copy and we're going to paste, Control C, Control V, or right click to get to it. And the one that is got the bounding box around it is the top one. So you don't have to do anything. We're going to convert to complex fill and fill it all up. Boom, got that. Thank you very much. And then we're going to switch it here to motif. And then we're going to pick a motif. And I'm just going to go back to the pumpkin one, which doesn't have a picture, but that's okay. And the pumpkin one, and it's really small again because I'm working kind of big. So let's make it like this. Try 40. Ooh, I like that. And click on the dimensional. Isn't that cool? Let's go straight into node mode or edit nodes, and let's put them a little straighter. Isn't that cute? Now, if you had hearts that were dimensional inside a heart, wouldn't that be awesome? I think that would be super fantastic. Or, you know, I love Halloween or something like that. So even using the dimensional, using, you know, different colors, different ways, different shapes, you can make your motif stitches really spectacular. So the things to remember, the main points of things that you need to practice, is that the start point and the end point need to be in the same area, like the same. You can't have your start and end, your start up at the top and your end down here, because it's going to have a big jump stitch when you put it together. Now, would there be jump stitches when it bounces back to the left on the next row? It would on when I did the ones up here, the different things, the repeat and whatever, yes. For motif stitches, no. It'll plot it all out and stitch it in one shot. So, I call those earrings. Yes, yes. So remember where your earrings are. And you know what? I really do find the triangles very helpful when you're trying to set it up, because it's very easy to, I mean, I did it twice in there, forget where your start and stop points are. And it's, yeah, motif stitches are awesome. So you can do the multiply and scatter and different things like that. It's kind of fun. But motif stitches, that is where it's at. It does it all for you, and it's all one piece. So you can use your motif stitches the way we use the other ones to cut out the design and make it as a background quilting stitch. There's no reason why these pumpkins, even, you know, close together with their earrings on top of each other, there's no reason why you can't, you know, do this as a quilting background. How about a swirl? I got to playing. It was a little bit harder to figure out because this swirl starts in the middle and ends way over here. So if we were going to go copy and paste, that it would not quite work out. It would go like this. It would start there and end there, which, you know what, it's kind of a groovy effect. But you can see it's all in one spot, so that would work out. Let's see what the next one would look like if there's too many. But I was just playing around. This is just one of the shapes. So something like that. So you could have a serious amount of swirls. And you know what? That's fine too. You could change the colors and make a 3-level motif. That would be cool. How about Christmas colors? I'm not thinking about Christmas quite yet. And blue. So, you know, you can have fun. And then you select all 3 of them and bring it over to making, to its own. And then you can go up here, File, and Special Files, and Save Motif. And it puts it right into the motif folders. So then it'll show up when you drag it down. So, are there any questions? Are there any questions? Misha, would you have to turn the swirl back on yourself? Yes, but it's going to do the same thing for the next one. So I think you mean let's flip this and you could change it. But how do you put the next one? Maybe just like this? You could maybe manipulate that, but it's again start and stop points. Let me double check. So it does starts here, ends here. This one starts here, ends there. You can play around with it. I mean, you can move the start and end points like this if you don't want it there. It's just going to stitch it out more than once. So this one has end here and start here. So end here, start there. So if we flipped this one around, although it's a different color, so it doesn't really matter, we could make this work. Start here, end here, start, and then end if we have them the same color. And then the next one, for example, this one's not quite right, move the stuff around so it matches like this. you could work your way on that. So awesome. JR Ratcliffe, thank you very much. How's it going? It's going great. How would I create the rows for my bibs that are not an applique, where there's different widths? I hope this is clearer than mud. Well, if you are using motif stitches, then you just do the shape. So the shape of anything that you can do with fill stitches, as long as it's big enough. If it's a very small space, then you really can't do motif stitches. You can't see what they are. But if you're making, you know, a bib and it's kind of a weird shape, go ahead and make it, you know, outline it or trace it or copy and paste or something like that, the shape, fill it with tatami stitches, and then try the motif stitches. And that's basically how we do it. But this is just an introduction. We are going to work on different things. We're going to start with, what was the diamond an open or closed shape to start? It doesn't matter. I didn't do a diamond, but it doesn't matter if it's open or closed. You can make them with like the bats that I used for one of my stitch outs. It was a bat that had a swirly for a connection and then over on the next one. But we'll work on that. I was just wondering if that would work. What about if you inverted and connected two on top of each other so the center's connected and it's ending on the other side? As long as they, you know, you have congruity in your line here, and you can do more than one. Like you can save this as a motif and it'll do it in multiples of 3. As far as I know, I actually haven't tried that on this software, but I mean, I can. Just remember your little thingy here, template. I forgot what we called it. That they have to connect or else you'll have jump stitches. The thing that you do not want is to have jump stitches in your motif when it stitches out. Can you imagine how many jump stitches that would be? So before I save it as a motif, that's why I do, you know, play around with it or 2 or 3 just to see how it will work. So we're going to be doing more complicated ones. This is just the basics. You guys can play around with different shapes. Just keep it simple. And once you get the feel of it, then we can get more complicated on it. So if you have any more questions, put it over in the OML Embroidery University Facebook group. Hey Sam, that was nice and quiet. Thank you. It's okay, honey. Sam just let the hounds out and she's like, I'm sorry, Bob. That's okay. I'll have to check when I have time. I don't know what you guys are talking about, so maybe you can fill me in, Alicia. But do the basics, and we master the basics is what I want you guys to do. Understand the start and stop and how it's going to work. Create yourself the template and earrings or triangles so you can you know, play around with it and get it how you look. I actually really kind of like this one, whatever it is. Now that's just something random that I hacked out. I think it would look really cute. I may just keep it. Swirls, of course, are so much fun. This would have to stitch out twice, but you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. And next week, we'll work into something a little more complicated with an open path motif that we can, you know, move around and angle. We can play around with angles, the whole bit. So thanks everyone for watching. I hope you guys love these motif stitches as much as I do. We are going to have so much fun making motifs, making quilting motifs, Christmas motifs, the whole bit. And do your homework, of course, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, everyone. Thank you.